let us know. Let us not say minus really. Plus 5 minutes.
And it's plus
But
or minus 5 minutes now. The amount
when we
of
say,
time they have is 50 minutes. I
uh,
know Professor Gezawa has a lot of information. So a
said,
lot of information.
I said we are cutting down on his time, so that's why I said plus 5 minutes just in case. Well, my
Okay,
aim
no
is that by
problem.
4:10.
Okay, no problem. I'm sure it's going to be a good meeting. I'm looking forward to an exciting time. So let's wait for others to join.
How many minutes do we wait for? Because this is 3 more minutes to 3 o'clock.
Yeah, so allowing for the fact that people are trying to round up from their places of work, clinic, ward rounds, and so on. Traffic. If we wait up to.
Sir, your mic is going on and off.
Okay, it's my network. Or maybe let me load data on my MTN. That one appears to be more stable.
Yeah, I think so. You should do so.
Okay, let me quickly do that.
So you
Before
say
we
plus or
start.
minus what? You say we should wait for 5 more minutes after.
I say we should wait for 10 minutes to allow people to join before we start. Will that be too much?
Okay.
If you think it's too much, you cut it down to 5 minutes now.
I think 5 minutes is okay.
That's due to have a maximum impact of the lectures.
Okay, sir.
Let's say 5 minutes, no problem.
It's 5 minutes, it's okay.
Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, dear distinguished members of Endocrine and Metabolism Society of Nigeria. You are welcome to today's webinar, which is on World Obesity Day. And the theme is 8 million reasons, or 8 billion reasons, really. That's a mistake on what is displayed, really. 8 billion reasons to act on obesity. And the whole essence of this theme is to highlight that obesity is a global systemic issue affecting everyone, not just an individual. And the team focuses on addressing the root causes of obesity, like environmental factors, stigmas, and inequality. And this aims to change systems to also improve health for all. And there are major key areas that the 2026 team is focusing on, which our distinguished speakers will definitely tackle this afternoon. And this includes system change, global impact of obesity, childhood obesity, and the need for action and equality at the end of the day. So this afternoon, as a way of housekeeping rules, we want to just encourage us to mute our mics at all times. And we should make proper use of our cameras and avoid distractions. And we should refrain from side conversation and no self-promotion as much as possible. And we should use the Q&A where it is necessary. We should put our questions in the chat box. And let us be concise and let our questions be focused on the topic. And where we need to raise our electronic hand during the question answer session, please let's do so. And we should respect each other by keeping our mic mute at all times. And let us follow the instruction that will be laid out by the host when necessary. So this afternoon, I'll be calling on the president of Endocrine and Metabolism Society of Nigeria, Professor Andrew Loko, to give the opening remark.
So thank you very much, Dr. Oluwarotimi Olopade, for moderating this very important meeting this afternoon. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is World Obesity Day 2026. It is our tradition in the Endocrine and Metabolism Society of Nigeria to bring experts on the subject to dissect and discuss and see how we can get more educated and how we can change some of the current practice that we think deserve to be changed, and to reinforce that which we are already doing that we know we should continue to do it. The Endocrine and Metabolism Society of Nigeria has been in the forefront of providing education to not only endocrinologists, clinicians, practitioners, but to the general public, particularly on issues of endocrine health. And today, we are going to be discussing a very important topic that is often misunderstood and often, if you like, neglected. Misunderstanding in the sense that in our part of the world, obesity is considered to be a sign of well-being. Some people use it as a status symbol. As a matter of fact, some people use it to gauge how much money you have. The more obese, the more money they think the person have, not knowing that it is an illness requiring treatment. Amongst practitioners, very little attention is paid to obesity, unfortunately, because they think that it is nothing of immediate seriousness, and they have more important things to excite them. But we know that obesity is a very serious illness that has a multi-systemic implication, and it can affect the quality of life. It can contribute to morbidity and mortality. We have seasoned experts cutting across pediatric endocrinology, where Dr. Kemi Ashubu has agreed to lead the talk, particularly as it concerns pediatric obesity. And then Professor Gezawa Ibrahim, a seasoned endocrinologist that has some wealth of experience in obesity-related issues, will weigh in, giving us the adult side. And because we think obesity cannot be discussed without a recourse to dietary issues, we have graciously received the acknowledgement of Mrs. Olajumoke, who is a dietitian that is going to weigh in on this topic. It remains for me to invite all of us to pay rapt attention, jot down your questions, and I look forward to an exciting afternoon. You are all welcome to this World Obesity Day online webinar at the Staples of EMSON. Thank you.
Thank you, President Prof, for your opening remarks. And you're right that we have seasoned speakers in our midst today to give us certain information with regards to obesity. First on our lineup is Dr. Oluwakemi Fumilola Ashubu. And today she'll be giving us the talk on the topic 8 billion reasons to act, rethinking childhood and adolescent obesity as an endocrine disease across the life course. Before that, I would like to read her citation. Dr. Oluwakemi Fumilola Ashubu is a lecturer and an honorary consultant at the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, and the University College Hospital, Ibadan. She has a bachelor's degree in medicine and surgery from the University of Ibadan, a master's degree in pediatrics and international child health from the University of Ibadan. She is a fellow of the Medical College of Pediatricians and a fellow of the European Society for Pediatric Endocrinology, FSP. She's a member of several professional bodies, which include the Society for Pediatric and Adolescent Endocrinology, our own Endocrine and Metabolic Society of Nigeria, the African Society of Pediatric and Adolescent Endocrinology, as well as the International Society for Pediatric Adolescent Diabetes. Please put up your emojis and let us give her a warm welcome as she gives us her topic on the 8 billion reasons to act, rethinking childhood and adolescent obesity as an endocrine disease across the life course. Dr. Ashubu, you're welcome, ma'am. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Ma. Good afternoon, my teachers, colleagues. I consider this as a very big honor to be called to present in this forum. I do not take it for granted. As had been said earlier, the topic for my presentation today is 8 billion reasons to act, rethinking childhood and adolescent obesity as an exclusive disease across life's course. We are like 8 billion people now living in the earth. But then what we have realized is that the environment where we find ourselves now is promoting obesity rather than presenting it. And you see, for children, the rise is becoming very, very astronomical now. And it's not just about them. It's not what they are choosing. But it's what the society is showing. It's what the economy is saying. And it's what the environment is presenting to them. And this year, the theme highlights that the systems are shaping what is going on now. And this is going to determine the future of our children. WHO has recognized obesity as a disease. And then it defines both obesity and overweight as an abnormal accumulation of excessive fat. And this actually poses a health risk. And what are those things that these children with obesity may develop later on? Type 2 diabetes, they can have cardiovascular problems, their blood pressure may go up high. In fact, high blood pressure is not something that will happen later. Some of them has even started happening now. Some of them may not be able to move well because of musculoskeletal conditions. And then the sad thing is that some certain cancers too can occur as a result of childhood obesity. So we should treat it as a chronic disease and that it has some other metabolic sequelae and not because it's a problem with the child and it's just a lifestyle issue. If we look at the global prevalence and the trends, a lot of people are living with obesity now, about 1 billion people, as has been said. But then around 159 million of children aged between 5 and 19 years are living with obesity. And then among this, the 5 to 19 years age group, the incidence of overweight and obesity has risen from about 4% way back in 1975 to almost 20% in 2022. And this is very alarming. And children under 5 years are not left out because now they are becoming overweight. And as of 2024, about 35 million of them have been said to be overweight. In Nigeria, we are not left behind. We have issues too. UNICEF has reported between the year 2017 and 2019, an increase between 2% and 8%. And across some regions here in Nigeria, people have reported incidences as low as 5.1% and as high as 11.5. This 11.5, I think, is something of around 2022, which is not 5. So now we are not burdened about underweight now. Before, the problem was being underweight, but now it's obesity. What's the diagnostic criteria? Children under 5 years using the WHO growth standard median, they are said to be overweight when the weight for height is greater than 2 standard deviations. They are obese when the weight for height is greater than 3 standard deviations. And children between 5 and 19 years are said to be overweight if the BMI for age is greater than 1 standard deviation above the WHO growth reference median. And they are obese if their BMI for age is greater than 2 standard deviations above the WHO growth reference median. So agree with me that the degree of adiposity matters because it would correlate with the cardiometabolic risk these children will have, especially with respect to insulin resistance and then with respect to dyslipidemia. Why the life course? It can start from in utero, prenatal period, and then of course go into infancy, go into toddlerhood, early childhood, middle childhood, and adolescence. Across this life course, if it is not taken care of in time, this obesity at this level may lead to obesity in adulthood. And about 8% of adolescents with obesity, they remain obese as adults. And I said, what are those lifetime risks? We have hypertension, insulin resistance, dyslipidemia, and some of them will even die before their time. What are those consequences? The disease mechanism we have realized is that when they have a lot of adipose tissue, it will drive insulin resistance, and then there will be chronic low-grade inflammation going on. And this early adiposity also would increase and influence neuroendocrine appetite regulation. And then it has a way of shifting the metabolic set points in these children. And they will can go on to develop type 2 diabetes, again, problems with regulation of lipids, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which we are really seeing now, and then increased cardiovascular risk. Why do we have to frame it? Why do we frame it? Because we need to be able to appropriately put together what the signs and symptoms of these problems are. Again, like I said, we can't anymore treat it like a lifestyle issue. It is a problem, it is a disease, and it's a chronic one at that. When we are able to label it as a disease, it will help us to be able to diagnose clinically and on time, be able to monitor what's going on with these children, monitor their weight, monitor their height, monitor the lipid levels, the blood glucose levels, and be able to support them. Not just say, oh, go and do this and that will be all. We'll be able to look for ways to support them. What are those things we need to do? And then we'll be able to invite others to help. Because of course, it's not only the ped-endo that they will see. We'll be able to invite some other people to join to help in the management of these children. So we are moving away from blaming. Oh, you came 3 months ago. Your weight was this. We expect I should have dropped by this. No, we'll be able to move away from that because we know that it is not about this child. It's about the system that is detecting what is going on with this child and adolescent, and we'll be able to go on to actionable clinical management for them. Beyond biology, what are those other systems that are going on? Ultra-processed food environment. Now we are having a lot of quick, fast food. Oh, all kinds of adverts. oh, take this, they show us a big bread that has all kinds of things in between, call it burger. He says it's a fast food, you can take it. You can go to school by 7 a.m. We are open by 7 a.m. You can pick your breakfast there and all that. And then, of course, for those are for those who can actually afford, who have a lot of money. But those who don't even have a lot of money, they have their own too, because it's like there's a size for everybody. Those ones will go up, will eat adequate breakfast. The little money they get, they use it to buy maybe lollipop, buy biscuits, and that'll be what they will have. So they are exposed to a lot of sugary products, and those things are not actually healthy. And then, of course, again, it's not about the fact that those people are weak. Oh, you don't want to exercise, you are too lazy. Oh, you don't have a mind of your own. We told you don't eat this thing, you are eating it, and all that. So it's more away from that. It is about the system that is failing these children. And of course, with a greater increase in low resource settings, now the economy is not really smiling anywhere anymore. Prices of things are going up every day. To afford things are not as easy. A lot of people who are middle income have now become low income families. And to even eat 3 square meals is even difficult, talk less of saying you want to add healthy snacks in between. So it is widening a lot of health disparities. And like Prof had said when he started, that's president, he said, oh, that is what some people use as a yardstick to say, oh, we are living healthy and all that. No, but it is actually a problem. What is WHO saying about it? Limit portion sizes. It's not about how big the food is, but it's about what the plate is like. We talk about my plate. What does my plate comprise? Half of that plate should be fruits and vegetables. The remaining half, we cut it into 2. A quarter is carbohydrate, a quarter is protein. So we are talking about increasing consumption of fruits and vegetables, okay? And then cutting out saturated fats. They should have a lot of unsaturated fats. And then, of course, limit sugar. Sugar is available everywhere. There are a lot of drinks. The drinks are even in different packages to make it look nice, colorful. Some of them are even frozen. They are in front of their schools. They are in the school butteries. They are even on the streets that they pass through and all that. So we're saying limit sugar intake. Limit, also improve physical activity. Now, this physical activity is okay. Accumulate it for like about 60 minutes of regular exercise. It should moderate to vigorous in intensity, but it should be according to the developmental level of this child. Well, how do we prevent at the societal level? We have to have our politicians committed. When we pass laws, when we make regulations, it should promote things towards improving child health and not making it worse. There needs to be collaboration between public and private stakeholders. Who are the public? It's the government. Who are the private stakeholders? We talk about the food industry. We talk about NGOs who want to partake. There's UNICEF, there's WHO that I just talked about now, and all kinds of groups that promote child health. Because we need to if we're able to shape the environment to be healthy, you'll be able to make healthier dietary plans for the children, and then make it also affordable and easily accessible. So WHO was talking about how to mobilize this partner and was talking about global strategy on diet and physical activity. What did they say about diet? That diet that should be made available should be easily accessible, should be highly nutritious, should not contain sugary drinks, should not contain high fat content. They should have physical activity in which it is regulated, and it is also it has a time allocated to it, and it should also be developmentally acceptable. And this, of course, will promote good health. We need to intervene early. What about prenatal nutrition? Pregnant mothers should be made to eat well. Their food should contain iron, calcium, protein, so that the baby that is growing will not have fuel overload. When they have fuel overload, then there will be metabolic memory created, which will cause problems later. And then, of course, we need to promote breastfeeding, and not just the artificial food that is flying everywhere. In fact, there are different types now of different ranges, depending on how their pocket is. Many mothers think they won't lactate in the first 24 hours, so they're already packaged and they're packed with artificial milk and all that. No, school-based nutrition should be back. We are happy now that the school health program, it has been revised again, and we are hoping that the new one will come out soon, so that we'll be able to ensure that these children actually have good food to eat. School meals should come back. If they can't get at least a decent meal from home, we should be able to get it in schools. And of course, we need policies to also promote this. They need to be able to have activities.
A lot of physical activity has disappeared from schools. We no longer have playgrounds, no longer have play areas, and this also refers to the community. Even in the community, where are the green places? Where are the open spaces for playing? Where are places that have been made for children to be able to run around, move around? Are there areas where they can freely ride their bikes? Are the streets safe? Those are things that we need to consider. Urbanization has buildings everywhere, no space to play. So we need to screen and intervene early too. We need to monitor metabolism, so the blood glucose, we need to monitor, lipids, we need to monitor. The family needs to be involved in how to take care of these children. Do we have time for family meals? Do we have time for family fun activities where we go out and have some time to bond, time for physical activities? All these things are supposed to come back. We need to do their metabolic risk profiling. And then, of course, evidence-based lifestyle intervention guidance. What do they do? How is the activity like? What do they eat? We'll be talking about calories they're supposed to have in a day. I'm happy the dietitian is here. She'll talk more about that. The physical activity they should do, for how many hours? How do we check their blood glucose? How do we check their lipid profile? How do we check that generally and physically they are okay? Their weight, their height, are we monitoring their BMI? Their weight for height, are we checking it? Is it looking okay? In some cases, we may not be able to stay with just this. When pharmacotherapy is required, we can also put it. And then, of course, we can never forget the part of family and behavioral therapy. The child should be trained to make healthy food choices. The family too should be there to support. And of course, we collaborate with nutritionists, psychologists, community health workers, and excuse me, pediatricians. Excuse me. So as takeaways, childhood obesity is a global and chronic disease, and it has lifelong chronic endocrinological implications. Type 2 diabetes, talk about that, dyslipidemia, cardiovascular risk, and they might even have premature death. It is a lifetime thing, and the burden can be a lot, and it can increase diabetes, heart disease, and disability. And a life course approach is important. We need to monitor from when the baby is born up until adolescence before they move on to adulthood and go into the hands of the adult endocrinologist. And of course, endocrinologists really need to play a role. Why? Because we need to diagnose early, we need to manage them appropriately, and we need to be there when they are making advocacy. You can't sit in clinics where decisions are made and we are not there, and we are not able to say a lot of things to help with our patients. These are my references, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Oluwakemi Ashubu, for your extensive discussion on the topic 8 billion reasons to act, rethinking childhood and adolescent obesity as a disease across life course. I really want to thank you for revising a lot of the things that we know and giving us snippets on recommendations, things that we can do both at the level of the individual, at the family level, as a society, at the community level, and in terms of what the role the doctor, the specialist doctor, such as the endocrinologist and the government can play in terms of putting a curb on childhood obesity. One of the things that I think was really significant is the amount or the number of people who globally are affected by obesity, whether it might be overweight or obesity, 1 billion people, and that is really significant. Also significant is the fact that more than 80% of those who battle with obesity as adolescents will still have that trouble as adults. Thank you so much for your presentation. If you have any questions, please kindly put them on the chat and we can put it up. And then if you want to ask a question, please put up your electronic hands so that the speaker can talk to you. Okay, we do not have any questions at the moment, but we'll be taking questions as they come up. The next speaker is our prof, whose citation I am privileged to read. That is Professor Ibrahim D. Gezawa. He will be giving us a talk on the topic, managing the system that shapes adult obesity amongst Nigerians. Dr. or Professor Ibrahim Gezawa is a professor of medicine at the Department of Medicine, College of Health Sciences, Bayero University, Kano. He is also an honorary consultant physician and endocrinologist, as well as the head of the EDM unit, Department of Medicine at the Hajia Rakoya Hassan Geriatric Center, both at the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital, Kano. Professor Ibrahim is a passionate teacher, researcher, and mentor. His research interests include the impact of obesity on cardiometabolic diseases, diabetes and Ramadan fasts, diabetic foot ulcers, geriatric endocrinology, and HIV endocrinopathies. He is the deputy editor of the Nigerian Endocrine Practice, the official publication of the Association of Clinical Endocrinologists of Nigeria. He has several publications in peer-reviewed local and international journals. He is a member of many professional associations, which include the Endocrine and Metabolic Society of Nigeria-EMSON, the American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, ACE, the Association of Clinical Endocrinologists of Nigeria, ACEN, the Diabetes Association of Nigeria, DAN, the Pan-African Diabetic Food Study Group, the Physician Academy for Cardiovascular Education, PACE, the Diabetes and Ramadan Alliance Africa, DA-Africa, and he is the chair of the Nigerian Diabetes and Ramadan Research Group. He recently received the Best Performing Clinician Diabetes Award from the Kano State Non-Communicable Diseases Technical Working Group from the Kano State Ministry of Health, and also received the Award of Excellence for continuing support to education and humanity by the Kano State Ministry for Higher Education. It's my privilege to welcome Professor Ibrahim D. Gezawa as he gives us his topic, managing the system that shapes adult obesity amongst Nigerians. Professor, the floor is yours. Please give him a warm welcome by giving emojis. Thank you. Professor.
Professor Gezawa, you're muted. You're muted, Professor Gezawa.
Let me call him.
Okay. While we wait for Prof, Dr. Lokbade, can we take a question quickly?
Okay, you can.
Okay, can you see me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes,
Okay,
Prof, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you very much for that kind presentation. And I want to thank EMSON for inviting me to present on this very important topic, especially now that we are celebrating the World Obesity Day. So just to be on the same line, I wanted to say that the objective of this presentation is to move beyond the calorie in and calories out paradigm toward a system thinking approach to metabolic health. So I may not be talking about other things related to obesity, but rather concentrating on the issue of the system. So these are my disclosures, and then my outline. So after a brief introduction, we will look at the problem, talking about the pillars of the Nigerian obesogenic system, the clinical consequences and shift, the solution, that's managing the system, and then conclusion and call to action. So let me start with a provocation. We are losing the battle one patient at a time. Despite the fact that we are excellent clinicians, obesity rates continue to rise in Nigeria. So the question is it a failure of our patients' willpower, or is it a failure of the environment we've allowed to be built around the patient? Adult obesity in Nigeria, to me, is not merely a medical condition, but it is the physiological outcome of a malfunctioning system. So for us to overcome this, we must manage the system to save the patient from obesogenic forces. So defining the system in the Nigerian context, when we talk about system, we are talking about obesogenic environment, which according to experts refers to that environment that promotes weight gain and actively resists weight loss. In Nigeria, this system sits at the intersection of three forces. One is rapid urbanization, two is the globalization of our food supply, and deeply held cultural traditions about food and body size. So these three forces interact at individual, interpersonal, community, and policy levels. According to the WHO fact sheet, over 1 billion people worldwide are obese, including 650 million adults, 340 million adolescents, and 39 million children. This has been mentioned earlier on, but childhood obesity rates have risen from 4% in 1975 to over 20% currently, with rapid increases in low and middle income countries. And many developing nations are facing the so-called double burden of disease, where you have both undernutrition and obesity coexisting in the same communities or household. So what is the Nigerian epidemiological reality? According to studies, mostly systematic reviews and meta-analysis, prevalence of overweight and obesity in Nigeria ranges between 25 to 26% and 14.3 to 15% respectively. And then obviously from most studies, women are more affected than men. And the obesity prevalence tends to be higher in urban versus rural areas. There are also regional differences from studies across the country, with rates cumulatively being higher in southern zones compared with the northern zones. And then there is increase with age peaking at 40 to 65 years. According to the World Obesity Federation, there is in the number of adults with obesity in Nigeria between 2020 to 2035. And then in children, annual growth rate is projected to be 8%. So what are the primary drivers of the increase in obesity rates? These include nutritional transition, sedentary lifestyle, cultural perceptions, as well as socio-economic status. So we'll look at this later on. So, but let's now look at the problem, which I refer to as the pillars of the Nigerian obesogenic system. The first pillar is the food system and toxic environment. And the first is availability, meaning the shift in food supply. You will agree with me that there is proliferation of fast food everywhere. In fact, one study says that there's almost 300% increase in the number of more ultra sugar-sweetened beverages and foods. And most of our are stored ultra-processed foods also. The other unhealthy sugar-sweetened beverages and calorie-dense feeds are even cheaper than the healthier foods and the fruits and vegetables. So
Sorry, it appears Professor Gizawa is offline, or is it my network?
No, he has dropped off really. So we're trying to see whether we can get him.
Yeah, the network in Kano this afternoon is very unstable. So please bear with him.
Yeah, not even. He may be unaware.
He's unaware. Let me give him a call.
Let's drop. That's another thing. Professor, look, I don't know whether you can get across to him. His phone lines are not going. Hello, Prof. Professor Loco.
Professor Gizawa is trying to rejoin. They had the network glitch.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So while he does that, I guess to save time, we could take questions and comments with respect to the first presentation delivered by Dr. Ashubu. I'm happy with the trend of the conversation this afternoon. The fact that much of what we are discussing is focusing on system-based activities. And that appears to be the line of thoughts of Professor Gizawa's ongoing presentation. It's high time we look at the system, really, because each time we move stuff about the pathophysiology of obesity, a very interesting pathophysiology, we seem not to be winning the fight once we ignore the systems that fuel or encourage the epidemic of obesity. And so I find it very interesting. Let me just throw a general question. Do people still hold this old belief that well-being is defined as being overweight, obese? I guess it's back now.
Yes, it's back.
So,
Professor Gezawa, welcome back. Look, can you hear us? Professor Gezawa, can you hear me?
his mic is muted. I need to call him.
Yes,
I think so.
it says. Hello, Professor Gezawa, can you hear? Okay. Hello. Prof, can you hear us? It's breaking.
Hello, Mala. Talking about the
okay, so we can hear you now, sir.
Yes.
Can you
So
just
the
go
other
back?
issues are the issue of marketing. There is aggressive marketing by multinational companies, that produce sugar sweetened beverages and foods, especially targeting, the children and adolescents. And in the process, they obscure health impacts of their products as well as distort portion sizes. Other factors include urban lifestyle and the fact that we have lost our traditional food ways in the country. The second pillar is the so-called urban built environment. Talking about transportation infrastructures. Our transportation infrastructures are mainly built for cars, not for people. Because in many urban cities, pedestrian sidewalks are neglected, and sometimes they even pose hazards because they will have potholes, they may be narrow, or they may be occupied by street vendors. And then crossing roads, also because of the absence of pedestrian bridges, also becomes hazardous. Then in many urban cities, long commutes in crowded buses, encourages sedentary lifestyle and then discourages physical activity.
Sir, please kindly check if you're muted.
It's not muted, but we can't hear him.
So all of this put together that we see in the country. Oh my God. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, sir.
Yes.
You are on and off, but we can hear you now.
All right. I think it's the network. So
yes.
So there's the issue of poor street lighting, as well as personal security concerns, especially harassment when people indulge in physical activity outdoors, especially for women. And then there are a lot of abandoned spaces that are supposed to be used for recreational, facilities, but they are often occupied, by hoodlums and criminals, and so on. We have also observed that there is loss of green spaces. There are no dedicated facilities for exercise, and then heavy traffics in most big cities, also occupy, the sidewalks and spaces that people would have hitherto used for, physical activity. Occupation shifts are also evident because we have adopted more of sedentary work culture. There's a shift from agrarian to office work, desk-bound workforce, and no workforce wellness in place. The Nigeria-specific climate change also affects outdoor activities, especially extreme heat or during rainy season. And there are no indoor alternatives provided in most places. Pillar number 3 is socio-cultural norms, what I call the perception paradox. There's this traditional perception that we've talked about earlier on of being equal to wealthy, healthy, happy, which still persists in our population. And then thinness is equal to HIV or AIDS or even poverty. So there is both what we call thinness stigma as well as obesity stigma. Therefore, while we campaign against while the campaign against obesity is very rampant in the Western world, here the major stigma is on thinness. As the previous speaker said, people consider obesity to be a sign of affluence in our environment. So our population has a kind of confusing message. On one hand, the thinness stigma that is prevalent. On the other hand, the obesity stigma that is being, seen in the Western world. So the other thing is the use of food as love in our environment. guests are often pressured to overeat as a sign of respect. And our mothers and grandmothers actually use food to express their love. You know, you hear things like, have you eaten? So here, have more rice, you know. So our culture, you know, encourages, you know, overeating. Then there is gendered expectations. Females have disproportionate burden of obesity. They face cultural expectations around eating, eating for two during pregnancy and prolonged confinement periods post-delivery, limiting physical activity. So all of this promote obesity. So let's look at the clinical consequences and the shifts. That's what I call the endocrinology of failure. On the top right, you see leptin resistance. Leptin is a hormone that signals the brain to reduce appetite. But in obesity, because you have leptin resistance, the brain becomes deaf to the signal, and therefore the patient continues to overeat and becomes obese. And then the obesity now promotes more leptin secretion. So, and then more leptin, you have more leptin resistance, and then increasingly the brain continues to disobey the signal, and then the patient continues to put on weight. The other one is insulin resistance. High insulin tells the body to store fat and not release fat. So the patient cannot lose weight even when they restrict calories, because the hormonal signal says conserve. Okay. Finally, ghrelin surge. Ghrelin is so-called the hunger hormone. So the stomach signal, I am hungry, increases when a person diets. But then dieting also increases ghrelin levels. And as more ghrelin, you know, is being secreted, you know, the patient becomes increasingly more hungry and then eats more and becomes more obese. So the cycle continues. Now, what are the limits of pharmacotherapy? One important limit is the cost and access, especially talking about the modern pharmacotherapeutic agents for obesity, the GLP-1 receptor agonists. The other issue is the issue of lifelong treatment. We mentioned earlier on that WHO has declared obesity as a chronic illness, just like hypertension and diabetes, therefore requiring lifelong treatment. But there is the issue of environmental override. No matter what therapy a patient is, if the environment does not support weight loss, you know, the patient may continue to put on weight, even when on medication. So, and what normally happens with pharmacotherapy for losing weight is that initially, particularly in the first 6 to 12 months, there is a rapid weight loss. Then later, the rate at which weight is lost slows down and then reaches a plateau. Now, at that plateau, you know, even if the patient continues to take the medication, the weight loss does not increase. And in fact, some patients may actually regain weight at that moment. So GLP-1 agonists are actually simply tools, but not solutions. And the problem is, if the patient returns to an environment of cheap calories with no physical activity options and cultural pressure to overeat, the biology will find a way to compensate, and therefore the patient regains weight. So one critical analogy for us to understand this is, we don't treat cholera with hydration alone. We fix the water supply. So GLP-1 agonists are like the best IV fluids in the world, but if the water supply remains contaminated, people will keep getting sick. So we have to fix the environment in order to win. So let's look at the solution. In other words, managing the system. Let's start with the upstream. That is the policy intervention. The sugar sweetened beverages tax introduced in 2021 in Nigeria has actually had its own impact. And this is based on evidence from its use in other countries such as the UK, Mexico, and even South Africa. But the important thing is that the revenue accrued from the tax should actually be channeled, you know, to promoting healthy lifestyle in terms of, you know, maybe subsidizing membership of gyms or providing recreational facilities, in various, in our environment. And then there is the issue of tax escalation or tiered taxation for sugars. So that has also been shown to be effective, in reducing, the proliferation and then the supply of sugar sweetened beverages and foods. Front of pack warning levels, the information gap, international best practice. We should adopt the octagonal alto N or high in warning label system used in Chile, Mexico, and Peru, whereby on the front of pack is clearly written high. This particular food substance is high in sugar, high in saturated fat, or high in calories, so as to dissuade people from consuming such products. Let's move now to the midstream, and that's the community and workplace. Urban planning is very important. We must design healthy cities. We must provide mandatory green spaces, pedestrian infrastructures, and street lighting to encourage, evening exercises. And then we have to also adopt the Healthy City Initiative. We could choose a local government, to initiate this particular Healthy City initiative. And then, so that will serve as a sample, for other parts of the country. Then there is the issue of transportation policy. We should encourage active mobility. For example, non-motorized transport, like cycling, lanes. Then public transport integration, car-free days. This has been practiced in many states. I know in Lagos, for example, that has been practiced whereby you have days when you restrict, transportation. Managing midstream, again, community and workplace. Workplace wellness is very important. Studies have shown that healthy workforce, is associated with less absenteeism, and then is associated with greater performance. So there should be structural interventions in our workplaces, cafeteria standards. We should monitor the type of foods that are being consumed in our cafeterias. We should make sure they are healthy foods. And then we should provide incentive programs for, workplaces that adopt, the healthy lifestyle in their workplaces, including the provision of, physical activity periods during their working hours. So, and then schools, we must build health literacy early. We should introduce physical education in our curriculum. We should encourage daily activity. And then the school food environment should also be cleared of vendors that market, sugar, sweetened beverages and high-calorie foods, in our schools. We should also encourage health education. Let's move to downstream now, the informed clinician, the clinician as advocate, beyond the consultation room. So advocacy targets for clinicians. We should involve ourselves as clinicians in the so-called opposite editorial page for national dailies. These are short essays of 600 to 800 was written by experts to draw attention or create awareness, on issues relating to metabolic health. So we could indulge in that. We could speak on radio and TV programs. We could testify before legislative committees, engage professional medical association to issue position statements, and then we should have a collective voice in this regard. We should also indulge in expanded screening, looking beyond BMI, screen for food insecurity, screen for neighborhood workability, and then screen for social support in every patient, not just, concentrating on, the body mass index alone. Then The clinician should also adopt non-stigmatizing communication. Language matters. Use person-first language. Patient with obesity, not obese patient. Avoid judgmental terms like non-compliant or unmotivated. Acknowledge the difficulty, say that the environment we live in makes this incredibly hard to understand, adopt the shared decision-making, attitude with the patient. Acknowledge the environment. So, for example, practical problem solving will include if neighborhood is unsafe, discuss home-based exercise. If family pressures or overeating or role play responsive, their doctor said, I need to watch my portions for my health. You can tackle that with this statement. If healthy food is expensive, discuss budget-friendly options, such as eggs, beans, seasonal vegetables, and so on. And then we should also, when it comes to pharmacotherapy, set realistic goals for our patients. Discuss the duration of treatment. Monitor for barriers, such as side effects to medication. And then integrate with system changes. Not only, the pharmacotherapy, but bring in discussions about the environment that the patients live in and how the patient can modify such environment so that it will support weight loss. Then we should train the next generation. We need medical education reform. We need to include advocacy skills in our curriculum. We need to also include research training into, system-related issues that will hinder our ability to control the rising trend in obesity in our country. So in conclusion, adult obesity in Nigeria is a systematic disorder, not just a personal failing. Our current clinical model, while necessary, is insufficient to reverse the tide. We cannot medicate our way out of a hostile environment. So true management requires a coordinated assault on 3 fronts: the food system, the urban built environment, and our cultural norms. Finally, as endocrinologists, we must also be advocates for environmental change. We cannot heal our patients in the consultation room if the world outside is making them sick. So I leave you with this question. What will you do before the week runs out? For the clinician, you need to identify one local advocacy opportunity, write to a legislator, speak at a school, or start a working group. For the researcher, study the specific systemic drivers in Nigerian subpopulations. We need Nigerian data, not just imported solutions. For the policymaker, prioritize the sugar-sweetened beverage tax and urban walkability in your planning. Ring-fence health revenue, as I mentioned. So thank you for your attention, and these are my references.
Thank you so much, Prof, for this enlightening topic. I think everyone will agree that we have some take-home points and assignments that we can all start on. One of the things that stuck out for me was the fact that beyond BMI assessment and metabolic profiling, the systems that every individual is in actually makes or mars the efforts that they make towards curbing obesity, from the community to the society to our even cultural myths, beliefs, and our value systems. Thank you so much, Prof, for that enlightening topic on managing the system that shapes adult obesity amongst Nigerians. Without further ado, we'll take the third speaker. And if we have any questions from this enlightening presentation, please kindly put them up in the chat. And at the end of all the presentations, we will address all the topics or all the questions. Our third speaker is Osunsanya Olajumoke. She is a trailblazing registered dietitian, nutritionist, and founder of Cairo Diet Clinic. This is an organization that is dedicated to advancing nutrition and public health in Nigeria. With over 8 years of clinical expertise, she holds a BSc in Nutrition and Dietetics from the University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, and a Master's in Public Health Nutrition from the University of Ibadan. Olajumoke is also an internationally certified diabetes educator and was the first dietitian in Nigeria's private sector to achieve the Royal Young Leadership Forum Award. Without much ado, please put up your favorite emojis as we warmly welcome Oshunsaya Olajumoke to give us her topic on dietary management of obesity. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm not seeing the button, the share button, so I can share my screen. Can you please make me a presenter so that I can
Please share the screen. Thank you.
Yes, sorry, I make you present.
Dr. Olopade, could you assist, please?
Okay, wait, I don't know how to do
Go ahead
this.
and share your screen.
Wait, I think you need to press present or share.
I think you have to make me a presenter for me to be able to share my screen.
No,
Okay, that was stupid.
It's been a fucking year, Daddy. I really, really miss you. Mommy said you went.
Hey, what was this? What is this? There's no presentation.
Dr. Olopade.
Sorry, there appears to be some interference. Who is
Yes.
Harry? Oh.
We're just trying to sort that out to mute him.
Fly, my minion. Yes.
Hello, Mrs. Jumoke. Can you share your screen? You can share from your side.
Hey, what is this? What is this presentation?
Ahmed, please, can you?
I'm very sorry, this is very unacceptable.
Okay. I still cannot see the share button. Would you like me to share
Please share the screen so I can see. This is
Ahmed, can you remove Harris from this platform?
I see some strange name like Harry, Vanja.
It's just some interference.
Doctor, looks like our meeting has been hacked, though. You may need to remove some people.
That's what
Looks like hackers are there are active hackers on this call.
Yes, sir. That's what we're saying.
I still can't see the share button. So I was asking if I should share
Can you send your slide? Let me appreciate.
All right, let me do that.
And Ahmed, you are the host. Please, can you remove all this interference, please?
I'm removing them, sir.
Anybody not labeled properly, please remove them.
I've sent it to you, sir. You can share from your hand and we'll.
I'm still seeing that Harry. That Harry is hacker, I think. Or do we have somebody by that?
So, sorry, what did this? Was it to my email or to my WhatsApp page?
I think the hackers are gone.
WhatsApp.
Okay. Come on, let me just find my.
Sorry, are you presenting from your laptop or a handheld?
I think it's likely to be from handheld. That's
Laptop.
Is it laptop?
Yes, laptop.
Well, I think we have hackers on this call. We probably need to.
Oh, loco, why are you saying I'm a hacker? I really, I'm not a hacker. I'm studying. I want to make a presentation. What are you doing?
Excuse me, I see G Mark. I think he's a hacker. Please, the host, report this guy.
Dr. Olokwade, can we all leave this call and reconnect again?
Hello.
Yes, let's
GMAT
do
is not a
that. Let's
hacker,
all
please.
leave and then connect again. Because I think Oloko is a hacker.
Oloko is a hacker.
Oloko is a hacker.
Sorry, Uloko is not a hacker, please. He's one of my
Oloko is not
professors.
a hacker. You understand?
How
he's
can
not
you
a
just
hacker.
be accusing people of being
Oloko is
hackers
not a
just
hacker.
like
What
that?
are you
Sorry.
saying?
How can he be a hacker?
Who
How
is
can he be a
the
hacker?
please? Who is the host? Remove GMAT.
Baba
GMAT is the
Tunde.
hacker.
Baba Tunde. Oh, Baba
I'm
Tope.
removing them. They are coming
Baba
back.
Tope
Please.
is a
One
hacker.
Okay, so
Seju.
let's log out, please.
Seju is a
Baba
hacker.
They just log out and
Tope
rejoin
is a
everyone.
hacker.
They just